Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare? I see you've come back for more. If you're new here, buckle up, and thank you all for joining me today. My name is DeRay, aka Rainbow Fright, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. Today's film review will be on sci-fi thriller The Platform. Hoyo. The Vertical Self-Management Center is a prison with one cell on each floor and 2 people per cell. They are fed once a day for 2 minutes via the platform. Survival isn't easy when nothing is left on the platform for those on the lower levels. Directed by Galder Gatzelu-Urrutia, it stars Ivan Masage, Zorian Eglelior, and Alexandra Masanke. And for this video as well, I'll go ahead and remain spoiler-free for a few minutes until this timestamp, and I will also give you another warning once I get into them. This Spanish film premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 6th in 2019. It was released worldwide on Netflix on March 20th, 2020. The critical response has been positive and it's been well received in many countries. The message resonates with the entire world. Right away, we can see that this is a little bit of a commentary on capitalism and socialism. Now, without giving away too much, in this prison, there is this platform and the administration fills it with a bunch of food. And then it descends down many levels, feeding 2 people on each floor. If it gets down to the bottom and there's no food left, those people at the bottom don't get to eat food that day. The actors, Ivan and Zorian, are known for their comedic roles, and they were chosen to be a part of this production because they wanted to lighten the mood and add a little bit of irony and humor. The director Galder was aiming for a little bit of surrealism, and he definitely achieves this through his lighting and editing. The actors are backlit by this dreamy blue light, typical of a lot of sci-fi films. When the red lights are used with these transitional fades, it reminds me a lot of Mandy when they use the same effect to illustrate Mandy being on shrooms. The contrast between the light blues, the coldness, and the gray concrete with this blood and gore that we see in the film makes for a fun visual experience. The violence might take a while to happen, but when it happens, they go all out. The violence is intense and gruesome. The savagery is at level 10 and at times can be hard to look at. Watching the choices that these different characters make, you can't help but wonder what you would do if put in this situation. This movie will remind you of Snowpiercer and Cube. Snowpiercer is set on a train that never stops, and the platform is just the vertical version of that. In Cube, people are left to their own devices to figure out how to get out of this cube structure, and they suspect that it was built by the government. In all 3 films, the characters are struggling to work together to overpower those in charge, or at least show them the error of their ways. You could also say that we've got some elements of Saw in this film as well. The story was actually written as a play first by David Desola and Pedro Vivero. The producer of the film, Carlos Juarez, found the story, fell in love with it, and then showed it to Galder, who also fell in love with the story. Hoyo. The process of adapting the play into a screenplay was a long and hard one. The writers didn't want to change a lot of what the filmmakers wanted to change. The 2 playwrights actually have a cameo in the film. They're the 2 guys you see in the kiddie pool. In the film, the lead Goreng has the book Don Quixote, the 2nd most translated book in the world after the Bible. The book is about a man named Don Quixote who becomes a knight to revive chivalry and to protect his nation after reading a ton of chivalric romances. The story of Goreng in prison resembles the story of Don Quixote. He even looks a lot like him and starts to look more like him as he starts to lose weight. Iban actually lost 26 pounds in the 6 weeks that it took to shoot this film. So the film was shot in chronological order. Hoyo. Both Don Quixote and Goring have hoped to make change in the world. The idealism of them both was without any regard to practicality. While they want what's best for humanity and make the decision to set out on these missions, they fail to fully understand the true and current state of the world. Alright y'all, here come the spoilers. So while I truly love this film, they kind of lost me at the end, but when I read what Galder was trying to achieve, it was a bit easier to swallow. Goring understands the VSC being a social experiment, and at first he dismisses the idea of spontaneous solidarity, but after spending some time with his second cellmate, Imoguri, he decides that this is something that he wants to fight for. Just like in real life, the level that you wake up on, or the socioeconomic class that you are born into, is completely random. As you learn the rules in prison, or as you navigate through life, you soon learn that in both that you must fight for survival. Goring and his third and final cellmate Baharat give socialism a go. They go down in the pit and ration out the food to everyone, but if they don't want to comply, they are violently killed by Goring and Baharat. On their mission, they run into prisoner Senor Rambang, who tells them, La pena cotta es el mensaje. So now they have this added goal of getting the pena cotta back up to the administration. The hope is that the message conveys to the administration that things aren't what they seem in the pit. Before all of this happened, though, we met Miharu, who was looking for her daughter. Goring actually mentions the child to Imoguri, his second cellmate, and Imoguri worked for the administration before admitting herself into the VSC. She was the one who actually interviewed Goring when he was accepted, and she tells him that there are no children allowed in the VSC who are under 16. And so because we do see the child at the end, this is likely representative of the fact that people in charge and the government sometimes just don't know how bad it is for those who are in need. Once Baharat and Goring make it to the last level with the panna cotta in hand, it's clear that it should be given to the child so she can eat, even though Baharat is reluctant at first. After the girl eats the panna cotta, Goring notices that Baharat has died from his injuries. He then gets on the platform with the child and they make it down to what looks like a sort of basement. Goring sees an hallucination of Trimagasi, who tells him that his journey is over, and they walk away into the darkness. We then see the girl riding the platform to the top. This left a lot up for interpretation, and apparently this was Galder's intention, but he does share that the basement level doesn't really exist and Goring is actually dead. So throughout the film, we saw this red light turn on, and that meant that the platform was going up and people knew to stand clear of the pit. And we see this red light immediately after the scene where we see the child eating the panna cotta. That can only mean that the platform already has gone up when they wake the next morning. They got to level 333, fed the child, she became the new message, La niña es el mensaje ahora, and then they passed out, and then they bled out from their injuries. Everything after this point is just an hallucination of what Goring wanted or thought should happen. Galder wanted to leave it up to interpretation whether or not the administration would even care about the dire conditions in the pit, and he even shot an alternative ending where the small girl reaches level 0 but ends up taking it out in the end. Even though the commentary on capitalism and socialism is pretty clear, and Galder says there is no real message, he really just wanted people to think about what they would do if they were in this situation. He says that the film is, quote, not a social critique, but rather a social self-criticism. The child as the message is to represent that the current generation is unable to create the needed change in the world, and the younger generation still has the opportunity and there is still hope that they can create change. Strangely, this film doesn't really have a villain. Arguably, Trimagasi could be seen as the villain, but Galder explains that he believes that the audience could actually identify more with him than they do with Goring. Trimagasi in Galder's eyes is just a poor old man who's trying to survive his last 3 months in prison. Imoguri is an example of someone who was a part of the administration and had no idea what was going on. It's presented that Goring was accepted into this VSC program, but in actuality, they'll take whoever. Goring was promised a diploma after completing 6 months voluntarily. Trimagasi was serving a 1-year term for manslaughter. Everyone is allowed to bring 1 item with them, and Trimagasi chose to bring his Samurai Plus, the self-sharpening knife that would allow him to cut the flesh of his cellmate when the time arose. As we already know, the 1 item that Goring decided to bring was his book, Don Quixote. Imoguri has lost her battle to breast cancer and only has a short while to live, and she decides that she's going to spend the last moments of her life inside the VSC to find out what the problems are and then hopefully fix them once she's on the outside. She thought there were only 200 levels and that she could spark spontaneous solidarity among the cellmates. But when she woke up on 202 and could see that there were still many levels down below, she decided to hang herself. With death right around the corner and knowing that no food was going to make it down to level 202, she does this so that Goring can survive by eating her decomposing body for the month. Alright, I have a lot more I could say about this film, but that would easily be an hour-long video, so I'll cut it here. With so much love, this film gives 5 rainbow skulls out of 5, and you can catch it on Netflix right now as of April 2021. Thank you again so much for joining me today, fellow Stardust. I so appreciate you being here. I hope I see you again tomorrow. I'll be reciting Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. And next week, I will not be uploading my regular videos on Thursday and Friday, but I will be uploading my 100 subscriber special, so still stay tuned for an upload. And if you like this video, please share it and hit the like button. And if you want to join the Rainbow Fright Freight Train, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every Thursday and Friday when I upload more videos like this. Alright y'all, peace. Hoyo.